Hello, everybody. This episode of the Lewis Saban Video Podcast is brought to you, as always, as a huge thank you to Joe Rogan and the JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast. Without Joe, I would have never thought about doing this. That's right. If you want someone to blame for me doing this, it's that guy. No, I'm kidding. I would have probably done this anyway. Because, I want to follow my dreams. Can I not have that? I mean, if you don't like what I do, go fuck yourself. No, seriously. This is just, yeah. Joe is the reason I started this. Listening to his podcast gave me the inspiration, if you will, to start this. I know I look like a friggin' weirdo. My hair's standing on end. Whatever. I got the alfalfa thing going on here, except his is back further, I think. That's always going to be there. That's the lovely thing about having a cowlick in front of your head. Although it is kind of nice when it's shorter, because then it stands up automatically. People are like, do you use gel? No, it just does that. Anyway, you can listen to his podcast on iTunes. You can watch his podcast on YouTube. And you can listen to his comedy on Spotify. His new special, Triggered, is on Netflix. It's very funny. I guarantee that if you like good comedy, you're really looking for a good comedian, someone who's genuinely funny, watch Joe. He's a hilarious man. My top 3 comics that are currently kicking around right now are probably Tom Segura. He's got 2 specials on Netflix, I believe. I think it's 2. I don't have my queue open, so I can't tell you. I've got them on there, though. I mean, I've watched them. I just keep them on my list because they're like go-to things. If it's late at night, I'm trying to like go to bed, I'll flip on something I've already seen. I'll flip on comedy because I don't need to pay attention to the jokes. I already know them. Probably top 3, no particular order. Tom Segura, Louis C.K., and Joe Rogan. I am not sponsored by Joe. Also, a huge thank you goes out to Science, the only energy drink I drink. 0 calories, no sugar, no crash, no jitters. The great tasting 0-calorie energy drink. Real energy for real people. The unique formula that gives you the hashtag Power2. I'm not looking at the can. In fact, the can's behind the screen. How do you like dem apples? I mean, I've only done this. Is this 48 times now? Something like that? You think I'd have it memorized by now. I am not sponsored by Science. I would not point you in the wrong direction. I know a lot of people hear that and they immediately go, oh, well, he's just trying to get sponsored. I mean, it'd be great if they want to sponsor me. Yay. I love their product. I am telling you about this the same reason when if you ever listen to Joe's podcast, he does his ads. He's actually, I think, paid by them. Pretty sure he's paid by those guys. I'm not paid at all. I'm not paid a dime. I'm not actually sponsored by them. I just give them a shout out before every podcast because I love their product. Now I know a lot of people immediately do it's an energy drink, it's terrible for you, you don't drink it. Normally I'd agree with you, but in the case of Science, it's a completely different animal. So my number one thing I always say when it comes to comparing energy drinks is I immediately go to Monster. Because that's one of the big brands. In fact, they now sponsor the UFC, which I think is bullshit. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had a Monster. Sorry, my ear itched. I don't know if you've ever had a Monster, but they have a terrible aftertaste. They taste like shit, and the only reason you're drinking it's because either A, it's the cool thing. Like when high schoolers I watch drink them, I'm like, you're doing it because all the cool kids are doing it. Cut that shit out. Or they're doing it for like what I used to do it for, which is I drink one in the morning because if I drink coffee, I'm not a big fan of hot coffee. I like mine kind of cold. I gotta wait forever for it to cool the hell down. And in the case of like high school or work, a lot of times you don't have access to ice cubes. So you can't cool it down, so you just gotta sit there and wait. Unlike with an energy drink where I just crack it open, warm or cold, I don't care. So I started drinking Zions. Originally, the whole reason I even tried it is because they were a sponsor of the UFC. I saw that and I was like, all right, what is this? We were like, oh, it's an energy drink. And I'm like, oh, energy drinks are disgusting. And then one day my cousin and I were like, have you ever had one? I believe his answer was no. I'm like, I've never had one. They had them at the marathon station near my house. Let's try it. Worst case, tastes like shit. We never drink it again. And you know what? I can tell you what one I had. I had the Frostberry Blast in the original black can. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, for the longest time, Zions was in a black can. It wasn't silver. And it had John Jones and I want to say Vitor was on it at one point. I know John was on one of them. Because the first time I had a Zions was John Jones against Rashad Evans. I had Frostberry Blast, which was one of the two flavors they had. I believe it was that one, and Mango Guava might have existed at the time. No, it was Fruit Punch. I think it was Frostberry Blast and Fruit Punch. My cousin got the Fruit Punch. I got Frostberry Blast. And it changed everything. And now I drink them on a regular basis. They truly are delicious. I would not steer you wrong. That is possibly the longest explanation I've ever given for any of the ads that I use. Any company that I've suggested people use on the podcast. I am not sponsored by either company. I'm not sponsored by Joe, and I'm not sponsored by Zions. I cannot stress that enough. However, I do have one sponsor, and that is fucks. They're not given here. They're not given there. They're not given anywhere on this podcast. Let's crack this baby open. Ah. Sorry, I had to stare at my fat face there for a second. I had to reach around and grab the can. And that's my new phone that you just heard go off. I don't know if you can hear it. That's right. Finally got a new phone. Something over there. So no longer will you hear droid. I mean, first of all, I changed the ringtone so you wouldn't have heard that anyway. Secondly, I no longer have that phone. Third of all, I'm trying to switch it back. I had just switched to the ringtone. That was the one thing that was kind of angered me. I was like, I need a new phone badly. So I ended up getting a new one. But I was like, I just recently figured out how to change the damn ringtone. Which was, sad on my end. Because I'm like, just got the ringtone. People text me to do what I wanted to do. I had it with the Sawdoll laugh. For those of you who don't know what that is, I can't reproduce that sound, so I can't do it for you. But if you ever watch Saw, the creepy laugh that the doll does, that was my texting ringtone. So if I got a Facebook update, if I got a Twitter update, if someone texted me, if you left me a voicemail, I would hear that from my pocket. I'm in the middle of trying to change it on the new one because I like freaking people out. I thought it was funny. Plus, when my phone goes off, I don't have to be like, whose phone was that? It's obviously mine. The reason I tell you about the new phone, soon. I haven't figured out when I want to do it. I'll probably do it for the Super Bowl. I will be attempting a live broadcast. Yeah. How do you like me now? I'm trying to figure out if I want to do 100% live broadcast or if I want to do live broadcast with the laptop also and do both. What do I mean by that? So, like what I did with the final Cubs game, the World Series, is I sat down in front of my laptop in like the middle of the seventh inning. And I didn't know how to do it live. So what I did is I just sat down, did a quick special podcast, and then boom, sent that out. It was Facebook only. And it was cool. I enjoyed it, but wasn't live. So I don't know if I'll do it 100% live, or if I'll have both going. Have, Facebook effect live, and if you want to watch it on YouTube, have, separate. I'll figure that out when I get closer to the date. Which is when I have to re-up my lease, because I moved in here on Super Bowl Sunday. Well, actually, I moved half of my crap in that Saturday. And then Super Bowl Sunday was the first official day, like full day of me living here. And I moved a bunch of other stuff here, and then went home and hung out with my parents, and then came back here and installed a bunch of shit. So yeah, technically the first night here, all I had was my Xbox. I had my TV up, and I watched Hell and Back, which is a fucking funny movie for those of you who haven't seen it. Because I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I didn't watch Netflix. I couldn't watch Netflix. So I brought like 4 or 5 movies with me and just camped out in the living room and watched movies. It was awesome. But yeah, that's how that went on. As for the live broadcast thing, though, I'm still contemplating doing both. Like I said, I'll figure it out when I get closer to the date. So, update on lovely, lovely news. First of all, it's the only problem with shaving. Now my face itches. Yeah, that's always fun. It's in like 3 spots here, here, and there's one up by my ear. It's been bugging me for like the last week. It's probably just all on my mind. I'm sure if I shut it off, it would stop. But yeah, shit happens. Anyway, update on news. So the Cardinals have gone ahead and cut Michael Floyd after he was arrested for a DUI in Arizona. He is now with the Patriots. The Patriots picked him up off waivers. Best of luck to Michael Floyd. He's a very solid player, and I think the DUI was a mistake. I think it was an honest to God mistake, and it probably won't happen again. Now, to say that he doesn't have an alcohol problem, it would be completely bullshit because I don't know him. But my guess would be that this was a mistake because I haven't really heard anything ever besides this from Michael or from the Cardinals organization. So, yeah, I mean, I really hope he gets his act together. It was funny to read some of the comments from people about that because immediately they're like, he must struggle with alcoholism. Get caught with one DUI and magically you're an alcoholic. That's like my grandparents accusing my cousin of that after he didn't answer a birthday phone call after his 21st. Well, of course he didn't answer. He's probably still drunk. I mean, he's fine now. That was several years ago. But what I mean is, that's one of those where you're like, that's an awful assumption to just automatically come up with. Now, if this is like his 8th arrest, Johnny Manziel, I can see where you'd go, there seems to be a pattern here, as opposed to once. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, he's now with the Patriots. I expect him to have a better year now because the thing is, with the Cardinals, he wasn't really a premier receiver. He was drafted to be yes and no on this one. He was kind of drafted to be the replacement for Larry. And then Larry decided he'd stay. So it was one of those where it was like, oh, cool, now we have a nice tandem. Larry Fitzgerald, who has possibly the best hands in the entire NFL, and then Michael Floyd, who has really good hands and is a solid athlete. Of course, they've gone ahead and they've gotten Robert Golden was with the team. I don't know if he's still there. They've got John Brown, the other Brown. I can't think of his name. I think he's still there. They have 2 Browns. One's John, and the other one, I don't remember his name. Dwayne? No, that's not it. That's Dwayne Bowe. He played for the Browns. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. Anyway, whatever his name is, I can't think of it. They got a couple other receivers. They've got a couple tight ends that are solid receivers, and they've got a solid running back in David Johnson. So they really didn't use him. In my opinion, they didn't use him the way he should be used. The Patriots, however, are actually kind of hurting for receivers, so it's kind of nice to see him go somewhere where he's going to be used, as opposed to, really with the Cardinals, where it was like he had one really good productive year, and that's it. It's fun to shrug my shoulders like that. That's why I keep doing it. No, it's just I don't know that much about it because I'm not living in Arizona for the obvious reason of I could never live in Arizona. I would die. Sorry, I have something stuck in my teeth. I'm trying to get it out. Yeah, I know. Isn't that lovely? Uh, like I said, now he's with the Patriots. Yay for him. I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, uh, Adrian Peterson is supposed to come back next week. I think that's what he's targeting for. He's looking to come back next week. The Vikings could absolutely use him. They've slid big time in the win column. And I think it's a plus and a minus them getting him back. The plus being now you've got a solid playmaker that you can lean on. The problem is, don't know if you saw at the beginning of this year, but when they did lean on him, what did everybody do? Oh, we're just going to blitz. Why? Oh, you might be handing it off to him, but you might not be. But 90% of the time, you hand the ball to Adrian Peterson. So if we blitz, we can tackle him in the backfield, and you're going to gain either a yard or no yards whatsoever. Or in the way they would tell you on broadcast, you gain negative yardage, which I think is funny because how do you gain negative? You don't gain a negative, you would lose yards. Again, I'm weird, but I always hear that during broadcasts. So, like, he gained negative yards. You can't gain negative. It's a double negative. You can't do that. Unless he didn't gain anything. In that case, it would be 0 yards gained, which would technically be, I guess, he gained a negative, but that would be only 0. So you'd just say he didn't go anywhere. I don't know. The weird conundrums that I come up with by myself. So we're coming up to that time of the year. It's about midway through December. That's the 16th. So yeah, midway. We're at the midway point of where we're coming up on the end of college season. The bowl games are all coming up next week into New Year's. And we're coming up to the end of the NFL season, which will then, of course, turn into the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and all that happiness. Happiness meaning we get to see some solid games. Another happiness is for you guys. You'll get to hear from my white ass even less. Because I'll have less shit to talk about. Although that means that I can spend more time paying attention to hockey, which would be good. This has gone really badly for me. Damn that it just. Anyway. Uh, so we're at that point where certain players are coming out and they're saying, look, I'm either not going to stay for my senior year, I'm leaving, or we know kind of who's beginning to become that prospect who will be going to the NFL this upcoming draft, which is where I have a heyday. Talking about mock drafts, people who are coming in and out of the league, people who are going into the league, fresh legs, rookies, and people who are retiring, and things like that. Those of you who have never seen me do that, get ready because we're about to do that again. And the big thing on my end is this is what's great because I have so many other things to talk about. And just a second. To explain what I'm doing, I'm switching over to FS2. The herd's on FS2 now. And I can't sit through soccer. I can't. I've tried. I can't sit for 2.5 hours and have one goal, maybe. Now, a lot of people go, well, you watch hockey. Yeah, hockey's entertaining. Soccer's just boring. I've tried. So I got friends who are like big into soccer, and I'm like, I've tried to watch it, and I find myself yelling at the TV more during that than I do during football. See, you do care because you yell at the TV. No, it's normally me yelling at how big of a pussy the guy's being. I got tripped, and oh my god, my ankle, I'm going to die. And I'm going, this is really funny to me because I've seen full-size guys bigger than him, 6'3", 6'4", get thrown headfirst into the boards with blood running down their heads. They leave for 2 seconds and come back with 18,000 stitches, and they're right back on the ice. So grow a pair. And a lot of people hear me say that and go, well, you don't play. Have you seen my shape? I'm not in shape necessarily. I mean, round is a shape. Circle is a shape. So no, I don't play sports. For the many reasons of, one, I'm 22 years old now. It's kind of weird for me to be playing a sport, because I'm not like involved in anything. Also, when I was in high school, I didn't play sports because two reasons. One, my illness really kind of keeps me from playing 99% of the sports. Two, no transportation. I can't get to and from places. So, yeah. So we move on to a different topic that you guys want to hear me talk about, and that's, of course, what I was saying about college ball players. A couple guys have gone ahead and say, we're not going to go our senior year, we're going to the NFL, and one of those guys is Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, running back from LSU, he's 6'1", 220 pounds, 230 pounds, something like that. 99% of that's sheer muscle. He's just a big kid. Now, his first year in college ball, he was phenomenal. Lately, he's kind of trailed off. Now, this is going to sound backwards. Sorry, my notes is running. But I like to see him put on a little more weight. Get up in the 240s range, maybe even 250, because he's big enough. He's a big guy. It's one of those where you go, he can put on a couple of more pounds and be good. I'd say 235, 245, somewhere in there. Damn, sorry, my nose itches and it's running. So, ugh. Damn this cold weather. But, if we can get him back to that freshman year form, that sophomore year form where he was just busting through people, I would like to see the Vikings pick that up because Adrian Peterson is getting to that age. He's 30 years old. He might be 31 now. He's in his 30s. And you got to wonder how many more years he has. Now, a lot of people I know that are Viking fans are going to be upset with me saying that. But at the same time, you got to think about it from a educated standpoint of someone who doesn't just want to see the team perform. And that is, okay, I don't know if you noticed, but Adrian Peterson's not playing right now. He's out with an injury. So let's say you wait another year. What are the best prospects coming out in 2018? Because this is technically the 2017 draft. I don't know who might be coming out. The running back selection might suck. In the case of this coming year, it's at least okay. I mean, you get another guy that's coming out, which is McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey from Stanford. That's another guy I could see them taking. That'd be smart. So you got Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. I mean, that's a solid choice right there, either of those guys. Now, for teams that need quarterbacks, I'm not pulling up information for this because a lot of the times, so to explain, if you go to a lot of the draft boards right now, they have a bunch of people who maybe they'll go, maybe they won't. So they're really unreliable right now. That's why I'm sitting here going through name by name. These are guys I already heard from them. Yep, we're going. That's one. The other one would be if you need a quarterback. I'm looking at you, Cleveland. Robert Griffin III, hurt this year. Kind of injury prone. First of all, quarterback is something they need. You know what else you need? Offensive linemen. Maybe stop trading away defensive players who are at least kind of good. Maybe have a team. Oh, wait. That would go against everything the Cleveland Browns have ever done. Anyway, if you needed a quarterback, there are two that are coming out, and they both share the same first name. One's Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame. The other one is Deshaun Watson from Clemson. Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame. For those of you who didn't know, big Notre Dame fan. I'll wait, because I'm sure a lot of you wanted to pause this and yell and go, oh my God, he's going to tell them to go for the Notre Dame guy. No, I'm going to tell you the opposite, actually. Please, for the love of God, don't pick him. I tell that to every team in the NFL. For the love of God, do not pick Deshaun Kaiser. He's tall and he can run, but he can't throw the fucking ball. He can't read defenses. His arm strength is there, but he has almost no accuracy whatsoever. He will throw it into triple coverage before he throws it to a wide open guy that's right there. I have watched him play for the last 2 years, and his freshman or sophomore, I keep reading conflicting reports. One says he's a junior, the other one says he's a sophomore. I don't know. That's another thing that's kind of tricky about Notre Dame. They might tell you one thing, but technically, nah. So we'll say he's a junior. So his sophomore year is when he started. Started all but one game, 2 games, sorry. Yeah, started all but 2 games. Played in the second one. That was Virginia. And that is, his sophomore year, he looked pretty good. Decent arm strength, decent accuracy. Yeah, sure, he had some bumps in the road, and a lot of people said that coming into this year. Well, he threw a lot of interceptions. He threw a few, not a lot, but a few. But at the same time, that was a sophomore finally starting. So that was one of those where you kind of gave him a little leeway because he is just a sophomore. This past year, he got the start over Malik Zaire. I did not approve. Texas is going to be a 2-quarterback system when we play Texas. Kind of hard to say you have a 2-quarterback system when the one quarterback only plays 2 series, and then you go, fuck it. Okay, well, you see, it's kind of hard to play well when you don't have much time to warm up, when you haven't played all year, and when they finally put you in the game, they have you run 2 plays and then bench you. Why do I say 2? Running the ball does not count. Counts in the play chart. Counts against plays that you ran. But in the case of warming up a quarterback, you need to have him throw. Otherwise, it really doesn't count. I mean, yeah, sure, it might warm him up to get used to where the pressure is and where people are lining up. But when it comes to real play time, you got to let him throw the ball. And since Notre Dame had apparently a 5-year-old picking when they decided what plays to run, you didn't get to see that out of Malik Zaire, who I personally thought should have started for 2 reasons. 1, more accurate with the ball. 2, faster. 3 reasons, really, now that I think about it, because I was going to count that as 1. He's got more accuracy and faster, but I'll count that as 2. 2B, if you will. He's a senior. Senior over a junior. Senior should get priority. You should start. Now, if you got somebody who's like a 9th-year senior just kicking around doing nothing, no, obviously you should start the next guy. But when you have someone who's really battling in practice, you should go, we're going to start the senior and see how he does. If he shits the bed, then we're going to put in the junior. Makes sense. Instead, I decided to go with Kaiser, and honestly, all I saw was him drop back, not read the defense, not change protection, and throw wobbly passes into triple coverage and watch him get picked off. I sat down in front of, I don't remember what game it was, and somebody was like, oh, Kaiser looks good. And I turned and went, I guarantee in 2 plays he's going to throw a pick. In 2 plays, he threw a pick. How did you foresee that? He's a bum. That's how I foresaw it. He can't throw the ball, and he can't read defenses. I don't know. Here's an idea. If you drop back, 3-step drop, cock the arm up, and you this is what, pause. We'll say, for the sake of argument, pause. They're bringing a 4-man rush, and they've dropped back. If you've got a guy going 9 route deep down the middle of the field, that's a straight line for those who don't know. A 9 route is just go that way, go towards the end zone. And that's one-on-one coverage, and you're, I don't know, we'll say he's EQ, Quantum St. Brown. There's arguments on how his name's pronounced. I think it's Equanimous. It could be Equanimous. I don't know. I call him EQ. It's just 10 times easier. You send EQ on a 9 route, that's straight down the field. He's 6'5", like 6'5 and a half, something like that. Anyway, 6'5". And he's going up against a guy that's corner at 5'11". And it's one-on-one coverage, no safety help. And you got another guy coming across the field. He's 5'11 to 6 foot, covered by 2 guys, a linebacker at 6'2 and a corner at 5'10. Where should you throw the ball? I know almost nothing quarterback-wise because I was an offensive lineman. But I'm going to take an educated guess. Maybe you should throw it to the guy who's got one-on-one coverage down the field. Just a thought. No. Kaiser's going to throw to the guy who's double covered and get picked off. Of course, then again, obviously people are going, well, the things you're mentioning that he has trouble with are coordinator problems. Yeah, it's 50-50. It's also shit play calls. But part of it is you should know, because there are plays that were like that, where he fucked up. And all I could do is sit here and go, did we forget that you played last year? You got a guy that's 6'5" up against a guy that's 5'11", and it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano. There's no one else in the area. Throw it to him. Why? He's 6'5". Throw it high and far, and if he misses it, he misses it. I'd rather you take a chance on the one-on-one guy than, well, there's a guy that's going across the field in front of me that's double covered. I understand first down thoughts, but at the same time, the smart decision is to go deep. Now, am I saying 3rd and 5, you should throw it deep? No. 3rd and 5, look for the underneath route that's a little bit closer, pick up the extra yardage. However, we saw this on like 2nd down, 2nd and 10. I'm going to throw to the guy that's 2 yards downfield in triple coverage. Why? Another thing that I like to say that's wrong in Notre Dame was the play calls. I don't know who's in charge of that. I pray to God that it's not Brian Kelly. I pray to God that that's the offensive coordinator. In that case, he's already gone. Thank Christ. Because it's 2nd and 13. And we're going to run. 1st and 10. We're going to run the ball. Generally, I'd say that's pretty smart. 1st and 10, run the ball. Here's the problem. When it's 1st and 10, you run the ball, there's a flag for holding. Now it's 1st and 15. Run the ball again, you gain a yard. Both times. What does that set off in your head? Running the ball is probably not going to work here. You should probably throw it. Apparently, I made that decision watching the game with this crazy thing called common sense. If I'm trying to run the ball and it's not working, I should probably try throwing it a couple times. Get them thinking that, they're going to throw the ball, and then try running it. Apparently at Notre Dame, whoever made those decisions decided that, it's 1st and 30, let's run the ball. It's 2nd and 28, let's run the ball. Now it's 3rd and 25, and we should probably throw it. Well, no shit. Now they know you're going to throw it. You're a moron. It's 3rd and 19. I wonder what play they're going to call. Probably going to throw the ball. Just a thought. Now, am I saying that every single time you throw the ball in that case? Yes. Why? Yardage. Now, if it's like 3rd and 5, I understand we're going to run the ball again. Then you go, well, you've had success moving the ball. But again, it's just mind-boggling. My understanding is at Notre Dame you can't audible, so that might be part of Deshaun's problem. He might have wanted to audible all those plays, and they didn't let him. But if I were any other team, and I need a quarterback, and I'm sitting there, again, I don't know who has what pick off the top of my head. I believe it's the Browns and then the 49ers, both of which need a quarterback. I would pick Deshaun Watson. Why? Deshaun Watson has decent accuracy, pretty good on the power of the arm. He can get it out there if he needs to. He has strong mobility, and the big one that I think is a big minus on Deshaun Kaiser is, at least by watching film, I watch him read defenses. He actually drops back and goes, not that guy, ooh, you're open, and throws to that guy. As opposed to Deshaun, now again, part of its offensive line problems, drops back and just goes, you're my favorite guy in the locker room, I'm going to throw it at you. You can't do that. You have to pick by reading what the defense is giving you. And I think Watson does a better job. Now, when it comes to receivers, I don't know who's going yet. I will keep you guys apprised of that, of course. Really won't know until probably late January, early February. It's usually right around the time where everybody's gone ahead and said, I'm staying or going. Then, of course, there's the seniors who are, of course, leaving, with the exception of the few that have another year of eligibility. Oh, wow. According to Colin Cowherd, with the Herd Line News, Leonard Fournette will sit out the Citrus Bowl. Wow. Who are they playing, Citrus Bowl? I don't know. I'll read that off here in a second. Like I said, I'm going to repeat that information real quick. According to the Herd Line News, from Colin Cowherd on FS2 right now. They're live right now. That's why I flipped over to FS2. Leonard Fournette will sit out the Citrus Bowl. LSU's running back. That's kind of confusing to me, but, whatever. Don't know why he's sitting out. I think it's his choice. From the reaction I saw from their faces, because I don't have the audio on, it looked like it's kind of like he just decided I don't feel like playing. Which could be it, or there could be a problem going on. Again, I'm Googling it as we speak. Yep. Sitting out the bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft. I think that's kind of dumb. I'd rather see you play and get a better feel for what I'm looking at than I'm just going to sit out. Whatever. Well, that's got to be fucking confusing. Leonard has a brother, Leonard. Or Leonard, sorry. Lanard. That's got to be fucking confusing. Leonard and Leonard. Okay. So I just asked, who are they playing in the Citrus Bowl? Hang on. I can tell you. Sorry, again, I've got the Herd Line News up. I'm waiting for this to load real quick. Brandon Marshall says he will help refs by bringing his own flag to game versus the Dolphins. That's coming from, again, Colin Cowherd, the Herd Line News. I think that's pretty funny. Of course, then again, I love Brandon Marshall. He's a great guy. Truly one of the few fine players in the NFL. Hang on a second, you're going to hear noise. It's an ad. I don't know how to turn it off. And it usually plays anyway. Oh, good. I actually did that from my side. Never mind. It's going to be silenced. At least it looks that way. Okay. On December 31st. Oh, never mind. Hang on. Yeah, I lied. On December 17th. Those of you who don't have a calendar, that's tomorrow. The first bowl game will be underway. It's the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. That's North Carolina Central versus Gambling. That'll be on at noon in the Georgia Dome on ABC. That's noon Eastern Time. All the times I am going to say, because I'm going to get sick of saying it, are in Eastern Time. Also, the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl. That's New Mexico versus UTSA. That'll be at 2 p.m. on ESPN. That's going to be in the University Stadium in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Las Vegas Bowl, presented by Geico, will be Houston versus San Diego State. That's at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. Again, this is all in Eastern Time. These are all on the 17th. Also, the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl, Appalachian State versus Toledo. That's at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN in Montgomery, Alabama. The AutoNation Cure Bowl. It's University of Central Florida against Arkansas State. That's at 5:30 on CBS Sports Network. That's at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The R&L Carrier New Orleans Bowl is Southern Mississippi versus Louisiana Lafayette. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's in the Superdome. On the 19th, Miami Beach Bowl will be Central Michigan versus Tulsa. That's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. That's in Marlins Park, Miami. December 20th, Boca Raton Bowl, Memphis versus Western Kentucky, 7 p.m. ESPN. That's in FAU Stadium in Boca Raton, Florida. On the 21st, San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. Sorry. No, I said it the first time. Poinsettia Bowl, Brigham Young versus Wyoming, 9 p.m. ESPN. On the 22nd, famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Idaho versus Colorado State. That's at 7 p.m. ESPN. On the 23rd, Popeyes Bahama Bowl. It's Eastern Michigan versus Old Dominion. That's at Thomas A. Robins National Stadium in Nassau, Bahamas. That should be interesting to watch. That's at 1 p.m. Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Louisiana Tech versus number 25, Navy. That's at 4:30 p.m. ESPN. It's in Fort Worth. The Dollar General Bowl, Ohio versus Troy, 8 p.m. ESPN. That's in Mobile, Alabama at Ladd Peebles Stadium. On the 24th, for those of you who don't know, that'd be Christmas Eve. That's the Hawaii Bowl, Hawaii versus Mid-Tennessee, 8 p.m. ESPN. It's in Honolulu, Hawaii. On the 26th, the St. Petersburg Bowl, Miami of Ohio versus Mississippi State, 11 a.m. ESPN. That's in Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Quick Lane Bowl, Maryland versus Boston College. That's at 2:30 p.m. ESPN at Ford Field. Ah, shit. Wish I'd known that. Not that I give a fuck. Camping World Independent Bowl, NC State versus Vanderbilt, 5 p.m. ESPN2. That's at Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana. On the 27th, the Zaxby Heart of Dallas Bowl, Army versus North Texas at noon ESPN. That's in Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Military Bowl presented by North Group Grumman. Number 24, Temple versus Wake Forest. That's at 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. That's in Annapolis, Maryland. National Funding Holiday Bowl, Minnesota versus Washington State, 7 p.m. ESPN. That's in San Diego. Motel 6 Cactus Bowl, Boise State versus Baylor. It's 10:15 p.m. ESPN at Chase Field in Phoenix. On the 28th, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl, number 23 Pittsburgh versus Northwestern. That's at 2 p.m. in Yankee Stadium on ESPN. the Russell Athletic Bowl. Number 26, West Virginia versus Miami. 5:30 p.m. ESPN. That's at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The Foster Farms Bowl. Indiana versus number 19, Utah. 8:30 p.m. on Fox. That's in Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The Advocare V100 Texas Bowl. Texas A&M versus Kansas State. It's at 9 p.m. on ESPN. On December 29th, the Brigham Bowl. South Florida versus South Carolina. 2 p.m. ESPN. That's in Birmingham, Alabama. Belk Bowl. Arkansas versus number 22, Virginia Tech. 5:30 p.m. ESPN. It's Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Valero Alamo Bowl. Number 12, Oklahoma State versus number 10, Colorado. That's at 9 p.m. ESPN. That's in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. On December 30th, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Georgia versus TCU. 12 p.m. ESPN. That's in Memphis, Tennessee. The Hyundai Sun Bowl. Number 18, Stanford versus North Carolina. That's at 2 p.m. on CBS. Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. Too many A's and M's. That's Nebraska versus number 21, Tennessee. That's at 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. South Alabama versus Air Force. It's at 5:30 p.m. on Campus Insider. The Capital One Orange Bowl. Number 6, Michigan versus number 11, Florida State. That's at 8 p.m. on ESPN. On the 31st of December, Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl. Number 20, LSU versus number 13, Louisville. On 11 a.m. on ABC. The Tax Slayer Bowl. Georgia Tech versus Kentucky. That's also at 11 a.m. on ESPN. January 2nd, the Outback Bowl. The number 17, Florida versus Iowa. That's at 1 p.m. on ABC. Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Number 15, Western Michigan versus number 8, Wisconsin. Row the boat. That's at 1 p.m. on ESPN. The Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. Number 9, the University of Southern California versus number 5, Penn State. That's at 5 p.m. on ESPN. The All-State Sugar Bowl. Number 14, Auburn versus number 7, Oklahoma. That's at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN. January 7th is the NCAA FCS National Championship. That's at noon, according to this. Hang on. On December 31st, College Football Playoff Semifinal at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Number 4, Washington versus number 1, Alabama. Also, number 3, Ohio State versus number 2, Clemson. That's in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. That's at 7 p.m. on ESPN. And then January 9th is the National Championship game. That's at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Let me guess. That falls on another friggin' Monday, doesn't it? Some people are stupid and they don't learn. Hang on. Let me check. January. Yeah. The 9th falls on a friggin' Monday, doesn't it? I'm willing to bet because ESPN's stupid. Yep. It's a Monday. Second Monday in January. Well, congratulations, ESPN. You're full of bunch of fucking retards. You should fire every member of your staff. Because what happened last year? Let's see. The national championship was at the same exact time, 8 p.m., on a Monday. And nobody watched that game. You know why? Because the majority of your viewership's on the East Coast. Halftime's at midnight. Nobody gives a shit. You know, because we have jobs. We have shit to do. Most people have shit to do. Good job, morons. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, open up. This is coming from the college www.collegefootballpoll.com. The previous information I gave you was from ESPN. Coaching changes for the 2017 season. Baylor's interim coach, Jim Grove, will be replaced by Matt Rule in 2017. Cincinnati, will be replacing their coach with Luke Fickell. FAU will be receiving Lane Kiffin. FIU will receive Butch Davis. Fresno State will be getting Jeff Tedford. Georgia State will be getting Sean Elliott. Houston will get Major Applewhite. Indiana will receive Tom Allen. LSU has officially moved on from Les Miles. The new head coach will be Ed Ogeron. He previously was the interim head coach. Nevada will move on to Jay Norville, moving off from Bill Polian. Oregon has fired Mark Helfrich. They'll bring in Willie Taggart. Purdue will bring in Jeff Brougham. San Jose State, Brent Brenham. Temple will bring in Jeff Collins. Texas will be replacing with Tom Herman. University of Central Florida will be receiving Charlie Strong. And Western Kentucky will be hiring Mike Sanford Jr. Oh, that was important. You guys should know that. No word as of yet from what I've heard whether or not Western Michigan will be losing their head coach. From what I've heard, he has no interest in leaving. Okay. Now we move on to the NFL. So last night, Seattle smoked Los Angeles, the Rams. That really was no surprise. Final score 24-3. Saturday, which is a special edition of Thursday Night Football, if you will, at 8:25 will be Miami versus the Jets. Sunday at 1 o'clock, Philadelphia plays Baylor. Yeah, I wish. No, plays Baltimore. Cleveland plays Buffalo. Green Bay plays Chicago. Pittsburgh plays Cincinnati. Jacksonville plays Houston. Tennessee plays Kansas City. Indianapolis plays Minnesota. Detroit plays the Giants at 1. That's Eastern time. New Orleans plays Arizona. San Francisco plays Atlanta. That's those two games. New Orleans and San Francisco are the 4 o'clock games for those who want to know. Oakland is another 4 o'clock game. Sunday night will be Tampa Bay versus Dallas. That should be a really good game. And Monday night is Washington against Carolina. So, let's move through this somewhat quickly. Miami against the Jets. Both teams are highly dysfunctional. It's believed that there will not be a Ryan Tannehill managing Miami, so I'm going to go ahead and lean with a 3-point win by the Jets. Philadelphia against Baltimore. Well, let's see. Baltimore has a solid defense, and Philadelphia's defense is pretty good. Philadelphia's offense has had trouble moving the ball, and Sproles is out with a concussion. I lean Baltimore by 10. Cleveland versus Buffalo. Is this really even a competition? Buffalo. By 14. Green Bay versus Chicago. Both teams have their issues, but Green Bay has a better offense. Green Bay by 10. Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. Pittsburgh by 10. Jacksonville, Houston. Both teams have some issues, but Jacksonville has more. So I lean Houston by 3. Tennessee against Kansas City. Kansas City is on fire. Kansas City by 10. Indianapolis against Minnesota. If Indianapolis' offensive line can hold the way they have the last game I watched, Indianapolis can smoke Minnesota. I lean Indianapolis by 3. Detroit versus the Giants. Although Detroit has, again, been on a huge comeback streak, the Giants have a solid defense. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Giants by 3. New Orleans versus Arizona. Well, Drew Brees has not looked like Drew Brees. I'm going to pick Arizona by 10. San Francisco versus Atlanta. Well, again, is there really a competition there? Atlanta. New England versus Denver. New England by 14. Oakland versus San Diego. Oakland by 14. Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Dallas by 3. Carolina versus Washington. Washington by 10. So let's run down something that I want to talk about real quick. And what I mean is it's just a simple comment. I recently was listening to, I believe it was the NFL Network, and they were talking about how, the 49ers have the fastest offense. Congratulations. You have the fastest offense that can only score 14 points. You have one win. Really? I did not know that. Latest headlines, again, coming from NFL.com. Julio Jones is ruled out for the Falcons. I did not know that. A.J. Green is doubtful. Did not know that either. NFL reboots veteran combine as pro player combine. I'd like to view that. I'd like to see if they put that on TV. I'd watch it. Okay, that's pretty much it. I would like to say this, as I forget what I was going to say. So recently Richard Sherman called out the play calls by Pete Carroll and overall the calls by the offensive coordinator. Now, when asked the question, did you mean the offensive coordinator or the head coach? Richard came out and said, well, I mean Pete, the head coach. Throwing it on the 1-yard line. Now, I've heard some scuffle about this. One group says he should shut up and that he has, no right to talk to his coach that way. However, at the same time, you got to think about it this way, and that is he has a point. Let me think here. Have they ever lost a big game because they chose to throw it on the 1-yard line? Actually, as I talk about it here, it's showing the highlight right now. They ever lost a game for throwing it when they should have run it on the 1-yard line? I'm having trouble remembering that. Obviously, I'm being facetious. They showed that replay about a million times, if not more, everywhere you looked. Because look at the giant fuck up. The league even made fun of it. So yeah, they should probably try running the ball when they're on the 1-yard line. Now again, I agree something that Colin said. Now again, it's gonna sound like I'm saying I agree with what I say, but then this one person who's supposed to be authority said something else and I disagreed with myself. No, what I'm saying is I agree you should run it on the 1-yard line, not every time. but you should probably, on the 1 yard line, should probably run the ball. And then Colin brought up a really good point. He said, well, what if, you have a bootleg and you got a mobile quarterback? Well, then, yeah, you should run a bootleg and see if you can get it. However, then you got to question the play call, which is, what does the defense look like? If the defense is spread out and they don't have 9 in the box, then run the ball. However, if they bunch up, they put 9 in the box, then yeah, absolutely you should run a bootleg. I think it depends on what all happens with the defense and what they look like. Yeah. Okay. This Saturday. Hang on a second. This Saturday I believe it's on Fox, right? Yep. UFC on Fox 22. Paige Van Zant will be fighting Michelle Waterson. Paige Van Zant is 7-2 against Michelle Waterson, who is 13-4. God damn it. Fucking ads. Hang on. Fuck off. So, starting from the bottom. First fight in the card is Sultan Alve against Bjorn Velakovic. Second fight is Freddie Serrano against Hector Sandoval. The third fight, which I don't get why it's only the third fight. This is an amazing fight. Eddie Wineland against Takeya Mizugaki. Don't know why that's so low. Then you have Irene Idana against Leslie Smith. I don't know how that's ahead of Eddie Wineland. The next fight is Josh Emmert against Scott Holtzman. Again, how does that get above Takeya Mizugaki against Eddie Wineland? Sixth fight, James Montessori against Alan Marone. Same exact argument. Then you get Brian Barberena against Colby Covington. That is actually a pretty decent fight. Eighth, Cole Miller against Mitsuo Hiroda. That's a pretty good fight. Ninth, Paul Craig against Luis Henrique de Silva. 10th, Mike Perry against Alan Jobin. 11th, Sage Superbum Northcutt against Mickey Gall. The 12th fight, otherwise known as the co-main event, Uriah Faber will retire after he fights Brad Pickett. And again, the main event is Paige Van Zant against Michelle Waterson. I'm leaning towards Paige for this, but Michelle is slippery. Weigh-ins are today. Uriah, of course, is fighting Brad. I'm going to lean towards Uriah. I think he goes out with a bang. As for looking for a bum, Sage and Mickey, I hope Mickey Gall knocks Sage into next month. I hope Sage is forced to quit after this because he's a bum. As to Mike Perry against Alan Jobin, I lean towards Mike Perry. Paul Craig against Luis Henrique de Silva. Probably de Silva. Although Paul Craig could crack him. Cole Miller gets submitted by Hirota. Covington wins. Montessori wins. Holtzman probably wins. Leslie Smith probably loses. Wineland Mizugaki, I have no idea. And the other two fights, I don't give a shit about. So yeah, that concludes this podcast. Thanks for watching. This episode is brought to you as a huge thank you to Joe Rogan, the JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Without Joe, I'd never thought about doing this podcast. You can listen to his podcast on iTunes. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can listen to his comedy on Spotify. You can also watch his new special Triggered on Netflix. Also brought to you as a huge thank you to Zions, the great tasting 0-calorie energy drink, real energy for real people. The unique formula that gives you the hashtag power too. I'm not sponsored by Zions. I'm not sponsored by Joe. I do have one sponsor, and that is Fucks. They're not given here, they're not given there, they're not given anywhere on this podcast. Thank you guys. Have yourselves a lovely rest of your day. Bye.